Alright, to begin the Harry Potter Quidditch Manicure, obviously I'm showing you on my feet today because this was a bit of an unexpected tutorial. You want to go ahead and get your base coat on. I don't have a light blue, so I'm using this Aquamarine color. It's by Sinful colors. If you would like to use that, you can use pink, you can use purple, any color that's suitable for a sky. And then, after you've done that, to make your life so much easier, tape off the nails that you're doing it on. I'm only doing it on my big toes because this was not designed for a pedicure. Obviously you can kind of see it on my nails a little bit. Gradients are really messy, and that's what we're doing today. We're doing a lot of that. So if you want to save yourself the cleanup time, tape it off all around your nails. Okay, so once we've done that, we want to go ahead and get your piece of paper or whatever it is you're going to use for a palette. I have my little folder thing right here. And we're going to mix up a suitable color for our gradient. I'm actually just going to go ahead and use Blue It by Sallyen Hansen and use that as my darkest coat. We're going to kind of blend it together so it doesn't have to really match at the moment. Just get some of this out. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to have some sort of sponge or something that you can kind of dab this on with. Q-tips won't work for this part. They're kind of messy. We will be using Q-tips, but not right now. I'm just using a piece of a sponge that I've cut up. You can use the angled makeup sponges. I've heard those work really well for this, but this is what I have, so improvising. So you want to go ahead and have some sort of spare piece of paper on hand so that you can dab off the excess, which we're going to do. Oof. Okay. Just kind of made a mess here. Go ahead and dab it. Dab off the extra stuff. So you don't want this to be a mess. I think I'm going to have to use a different sponge. This one has too big of a hole in it. 1 second. Okay. I think because I just smeared all of my nail polish. Okay. Just kind of dab it on your nails. I totally messed up all of my nail polish, so I'm going to have to put some more out. Put out a generous amount, because it takes quite a bit, and the sponge kind of absorbs it. Alright, so, and don't slide your paper in it like I just did. Okay. Fix this. Okay, that's better. It's gonna look really bad right now, but that's fine because we're gonna fix it. Alright, so you can see it's dabbed on quite a bit. And then we still have some of this leftover blue, right? So what you want to do is get some of that base coat that you're using. Go ahead and pour some of that out too, because you're basically going to do the same thing. You're going to make a custom shade here that's a nice balance between the darkest shade that you have and your base coat. So you can use whatever to mix that up. I have this old kind of dried up brush here that I'm going to use to stir my polish together. A nice kind of in-between color, like that. I think that's pretty good. And if you don't feel like it's blended enough, or you don't feel like you have enough of a gradient going on, you can even continue to do in between shades and just dab it on with the sponge until you really get a look that you are satisfied with, which is what we're going to do here. I'm probably only going to do this twice, but it depends on how well this entire thing turns out. Okay, so you can get, you know, another piece of a sponge. I used this one yesterday, that's why there's like dry polish on it, but I'll use the clean part. Again, just dab it in the polish, get off your excess, and then just kind of go over that blue that you did with this lighter color, and it kind of helps blend it a little more. Just kind of go in there. Okay, I think that's about as much as I want to use for that. Excuse me, nail polish. Lovely fumes make my nose run. And then, once we've got all that stuff all done, we want to, like I said, you can go back with a lighter shade, or you can just go ahead and go straight for your base coat and blot that on just to kind of blend it a little bit more. I think what I'm going to do this time is just mix a little bit of it with that kind of darker shade that I created. Alright, so it's dry, so we're going to go ahead and pour out some of this white nail polish to make our clouds. This dries kind of fast, so you don't really need to put a whole lot out at first. Try not to be wasteful. So once you've got it all set up on your palette, you want to go ahead and get some Q-tips. So just kind of get your Q-tip, dab the edge in. You can kind of do the same thing as before. You want to definitely dab off excess. This is where it's kind of beneficial to use something that's not white so you can see what you're doing. You really want to be thin with these clouds so that they're really natural looking. Just kind of dab them on. I'm actually going to show you a way to fix it if you have some issues and they turn out looking too white, because that can actually ruin the look a little bit if they look a little bit too forced. So you just want to kind of dab on your clouds. It doesn't matter if they're perfect because they're clouds, right? Clouds aren't perfect. Just kind of can dab onto the tape like I'm doing to kind of make sure that you're not getting too much in there. And this isn't turning out perfect because, like I said, for the millionth time, it's not meant for toes. So this kind of even go over it with your finger or another part of the Q-tip and just kind of work it away. You might get fuzz. This is why Q-tips aren't the best thing to use, but it's what I have at my disposal at the moment, and I'd imagine most of you probably have Q-tips, so that's what we're using. And it doesn't really matter if there's fuzz because you can always go over it with clear and you won't even notice. You can just trim off anything that's stuck. I think that's pretty good for my clouds. That's about all I'm going to do with that. And then you have to kind of let that dry. You don't want to go over it with clear because it will smudge. So let it dry. And then I'm going to show you what to do if you have it available. I guess I'll go ahead and tell you now. If you have it available, you can get something like this. This is called, let's see, Blueberry Burst. It's by Revlon. Yeah, Revlon. And it's like a blue tinted top coat. I don't really ever use it, but for this, it comes in handy. If you have it, if you don't, it's fine. Just try to blend your clouds as best as you can. This is really optional, but if you feel like your clouds are just too white and you really want them to look softer, you can go over it with this, and it will give them a really nice little light bluish tint. And it's a nice blending for this guy. Of course, that's only assuming that you're using blue as your base. If you're using pink or purple, I probably wouldn't recommend this, at least not for pink. So we're going to let that dry and then move on to the next step. Alright, so it's dry now, and what we're going to do is, like I was telling you, we're going to go over it with this blue top coat, or at least I am. If you don't have this, just go over it with clear coat. It's absolutely vital that you smooth out your nails, so that's why we're doing a clear coat at this step. Because when it comes time to drawing your snitch, having it bumpy from the gradient is going to make it a lot harder. So I'm going to use this blue color. Go ahead and paint that on. Kind of blend away that white. Just a little bit. So it's a little bit more natural. And you can see how that kind of brought it down just a little bit. If you want them white, if you want your clouds really white, it's totally fine. But, you know, I wanted to show you the option of having them a little bit more muted. So that's what you can do to fix the problem if you get them way too thick. Let that dry, and then we get to the best part of the entire manicure, which is drawing your snitch. You might even want to practice for this step, but I will tell you what to do next in a second.